beautiful people, I'm Rach Phoenix, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how I got this look for my Super Android 17 cosplay. So if you want to see how I got it, just keep watching.
Hello beautiful people, so let's get into this makeup tutorial. I'm going to start off with priming my face with a Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation Primer. So I'm going to go ahead and apply about 2 pumps of the product on my hand, and I'm going to rub it in between my fingers and apply it as evenly as possible on my face. And I'm just making sure that it's evenly, there's even distribution throughout my entire face, and I'm going to go ahead and go back in with about 1 more pump and really cover the lower half of my face that I feel like didn't get enough product. Then I'm going to go in with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb, and I'm going to use this just to keep my lips hydrated and moisturize as I'm doing my eyeshadow. Then I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in Original, and I'm only going to apply the product to one eye at a time because I feel like it dries pretty quick. So I'm just going to prime one eye at a time, blend it out, and then move on to the next one. So I'm just going to go ahead and blend out the primer potion with my ring finger. I've never really used a brush to blend out my eye primer, or I've never really used either like an eyeshadow to apply on top of it. But I found that this eyeshadow primer actually is really good for oily lids because my skin, I get really oily in the T-zone and my eyelids get really oily, and I found that with the Fenty Beauty Foundation Primer and the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer, both of these are really good for just keeping everything where it needs to be. Of course, over the course of the day, there's touch-ups needed, but nothing as crazy as it used to be in the past. So I'm going to start off with the Melt Cosmetics Rust Stack, and the first shade I'm going to apply to the crease is going to be Rubbish. I'm going to use this tapered blending brush, which is from Morphe, the M505. And I'm just going to pick up the product and use a very light hand at first to kind of get the placement right. Focusing most of it on the upper portion of my crease, and the more I get exactly right where I want to put the product, then I'm going to go back in and apply more and really finesse that color. When it comes to applying the eyeshadow on the inner portion of my crease, I'm going to be using more so of a windshield wiping motion, and then when I'm applying it closer towards the end of my eyelid or on the outer portion of my eyelid, that's when I'm going to be using a circular motion. So the next shade I'm going to be going in with is going to be Rust, which is this beautiful brown shade. I'm going to be using it this time in the actual crease, and I'm going to be focusing the product first on the outer corner of my eyelid, and then once I have it really built up in that portion, then I'm going to start bringing it more into the inner portion of my crease. Next, I'm going to be using my Kat Von D Lock-It Tattoo Concealer in the shade Deep 34, and I'm going to be using this flat brush. I actually got that brush with a Coastal Scents set. I'm not even sure if they sell it anymore, but I'm going to be picking up just a little bit of the product on the back of my hand. And the technique that I use for cutting the crease is I open my eyes wide, and you'll see right there, that's where the lid naturally creases. So I'm going to use that as my guide to place down the concealer. And I'm going to use really small brush strokes first to apply just that line on the crease, and then once I check and see that the placement is correct, then I'll start focusing applying the concealer onto the lid. And I'm only going to apply the concealer to about 3/4 of the lid, just the inner portion, because on the outside of the lid I'm going to apply eyeshadow. And I know I'm a derp and I keep going outside of the frame, so I got extra footage of myself applying the concealer once again on my other lid, so you guys can really get a better look at how I really go in with the concealer. Next, I'm going to go in with a Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette, and I'm going to take this beautiful shimmery shade Heaven. I'm going to apply it with my ring finger because I feel like with shades like this, it just applies better with the warmth of your finger as opposed to going in with a brush. And I'm just going to carefully apply the shade to where I have the concealer, and then I'm going to go back in with my Morphe M505 brush and blend it out. I didn't add any product, I'm just using it to blend it out. And then I'm going to go into the shade Rot, which is this beautiful deep brown shade. I'm going to use this brush that I got with my, I believe it was the Subculture palette. I got that Anastasia Beverly Hills brush with, so I'm just going to use the brush and apply the eyeshadow first to the outer portion of my crease and then bring it in over on top of the where I applied the concealer to really define the crease more. And I'm just going to carefully blend out Rot on the outer portion of my crease. I'm really going to try to give it kind of like a cat eye effect, and then I'm going to go back in with the M505 brush and just blend it out as smoothly as possible. Next, I'm going to be going in with my black NYX matte liquid liner. And to draw my wing liner, what I'm going to do is tilt my head back and look down into the mirror. I'm going to start in the middle of my lash line and I'm going to draw a straight line out to the outer portion of my lid and kind of stop right where the edge of my eyebrow tail is. And then at the lower lash line, I'm just going to extend that line straight up to the ending point of the initial line that we drew, and I'm just gonna go back in and make the tail a little bit thicker because I felt like I drew it too small, and then I'm gonna go back to the inner corner of my lid and extend that line straight to where I initially drew that first point. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but if you watch how I do it, you'll see how I got that straight line across. So after that, I'm going in with my Maybelline Eye Studio Gel Eyeliner in the shade Blackest Black, and I'm just going to go in and fill in my wing liner. And I'm using the brush that already came with this product. I like to use the gel eyeliner to fill in the wing liner because I feel like it gives it a very velvety, beautiful, black, rich color, as opposed to going in with the liquid liner. I feel like it kind of just shows off more of the creasing of your skin, so that's why I use the liquid eyeliner to kind of really get that precision, and then I use the gel liner to fill it in to really get a beautiful black rich color. Moving on to the face, I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation in the shade 450. I'm going to use a damp beauty blender, so it's damp with water, and I'm going to put about like 3 pumps on the product and evenly put it on my face, and then from there start blending it out. And just being super careful around my eyeliner. And then I'm just going to go back in with more product because I felt like it was a little bit too sheer on the bottom half of my face. So just going back in and blending it out. I kind of make that fish face to, I feel like it kind of helps with getting rid of smile lines. Does it really work? I don't know, but I still do it. So I'm going to go with the Fenty Beauty Matchstick in Espresso. I'm going to use this shade to contour. So I'm just warming up the product on the back of my hand. And then I'm going to go in with this brush that I also got from the Coastal Scents collection a while back. And I'm just going to pick up the product from the back of my hand and I'm going to carefully apply it to the contours of my face. And I just make that face so I can really see like where my bone naturally like sinks in. And then I'm just going to carefully dab the product on. And then from there I'll start blending it out a bit more. So I'm just going to go back in with a beauty blender to help get more of a seamless blend between my contour and the foundation. I didn't add any new product, I'm just using whatever leftover foundation is on the beauty blender. And now I'm just going back in with the contour stick. This time I'm actually using it on my face instead of applying it to the back of my hand. And then I'm going to use the foundation brush again from before to help blend it out. So I'm just going back in with that foundation brush from before and blending out the contour into my hairline. Then I'm going to go back in with a beauty blender. I'm going to pinch the side and I'm going to use the same technique I did on the face and just use this to blend out the foundation and the contour a little bit more seamlessly. Next, I'm going in with this blending brush and I'm going to use this brush on the nose to blend out my contour. Then I'm going to take a damp beauty blender, this time the smaller one, and I'm going to use it to blend out the foundation into the contour a little bit more seamlessly. Then I'm going to go in with another Fenty Beauty Matchsticks, and this time I'm going in with the shade Suede. I'm warming up the product on the back of my hand, but this time I'm applying it directly to the face and everywhere that I want to highlight and bring forward on my face. Using the tip of the beauty blender, I'm going to use this to blend out my highlight. And then every now and then I will use the back of the beauty blender that I originally used to apply the foundation, just to blend everything out. And I'm just going in with a smaller beauty blender just to blend everything a little bit better between the contour and the highlight. And I'm gonna take my Kat Von D Lock-It setting powder and a dry beauty blender, and I'm gonna pick the product up and just apply it to the contours of my face. And I'm doing this so I can bake this part of my face, so when I dust off the setting powder, it's gonna give it a beautiful seamless contour on the sides of my face. And then for the rest of my face where I highlighted, I'm going to apply the setting powder, but for these areas I'm not going to be baking it. I'm just really pressing the powder into the skin so that when I dust it away, it's not oily and everything is set and perfect. Next, I'm taking this foundation brush to brush off all of the excess powder that I'm not going to be using on my face to bake. Then taking my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark Deep and this bronzer brush that I got from Sephora, I'm going to use this to apply the powder all over my face and pretty much everywhere that I didn't apply the translucent powder to. Then I'm going to take my Becca Multitasking Perfecting Powder in Deep Bronze, and I'm going to take this brush, this cheek brush, so pretty much I'm just going to use this to contour my face, and pretty much I'm gonna work with a light hand at first and then really build that contour up on the cheekbones, and then I'm gonna take the product around my hairline, and then for contouring my nose, for the bottom part I'm just gonna brush on, and then for the sides of my nose I'm gonna pinch the brush kind of like what I did with the beauty blender, and I'm gonna use that to apply the powder to contour my nose. And then I go back in with that bronzing brush just to get everything to blend out a little bit better. Going back in with my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish powder, I'm going to pick up some product on my bronzer brush, and I'm going to use this to dust away the areas of my face where I was baking before. Then I'm going to take my Urban Decay Afterglow 8-Hour Powder Blush in the shade Quiver. I'm going to use the same brush that I used to contour with, but this time I'm going to use it to apply the brush, and I'm just going to apply the blush just right above where I applied the contour. And then again, picking up the bronzer brush just to blend everything out perfectly. Then I'm going to take my Benefit Brow Cream Gel Brow in the shade number 5, and then I'm going to go in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dual Ended brush in the number 7B, and I'm gonna go in with a spoolie end of the brush, and I'm just gonna comb through my eyebrow hair, and then I'm gonna take just a little bit of the Ka-Brow product and, well, at least kind of like a little bit, and I'm gonna just apply hair like brush strokes with the product to my eyebrows in the areas that are a little bit more sparse. And in between a few brush strokes, I'll go back in with the spoolie end of the brush and just to soften out those parts that are a little bit more harsh. And I'm just going to carefully fill in the bottom portion of my eyebrow and I'm following the natural arch of my brow. Then I go back in with a spoolie, and then I just carefully brush down the edges of my eyebrow. And then I'm just picking up more product and I'm going in to line and define the top portion of my brow. And then going back in, I'm filling in the actual brow this time, just putting in more hair-like brush strokes. Going back in with the spoolie to blend everything out. Then I'm going to take my NYX eyebrow pencil in the shade dark brown, and I'm going to use this to fill in more of the eyebrow where I feel like needed more of like a softer look as opposed to the line of the brow product. Next, I'm going to take my MAC eye kohl in the shade Smolder, and we're just going to work on finishing the bottom portion of the eyes. So I'm going to use this shade in my waterline. Going back into my Saint & Sinner palette, I'm going to pick up this black eyeshadow, Sabbath, and I'm going to use this dual-ended brush that I got with my Urban Decay electric palette. So I'm starting off with packing the black eyeshadow onto the waterline, and then from there I'm going to smudge it out. The reason I do this is because I feel like it helps the black eyeshadow and the eyeliner stay in the waterline a little bit longer. Then I'm going back in with the shade Rust, and I'm going to use this to blend out the black eyeshadow. Then I'm going back in with the shade Rubbish, and I'm going to take my Sigma E40 brush, and I'm going to use this to blend out the shade Rust and give it a more seamless look. Going into Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette, I'm going to pick up the shade Electric with this brush. And I'm going to use my Urban Decay All-Nighter spray. So I'm picking up the product with the brush, and then I'm going to spray it and then apply it to the inner tear duct. I feel like with shades like this, it definitely applies a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot better when it's wet and really gives that glow to the inner corner of the lid. Then I'm taking my L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara, and I'm going to apply it to both my top and bottom lash line. Next, I'm going into my ABH Moonchild Glow Kit, and I'm going to pick up the shade Blue Moon with this fan brush. I'm going to apply it to my cheekbones. Then going into the shade Blue Ice, I'm going to pick it up with the same brush I used for the inner tear duct. After wiping it off, I'm going to use it to apply highlight to my nose. So the technique I use is kind of like an exclamation point. I apply the highlighter to the bridge of my nose, and then at the highest point at the bottom of my nose, I apply a little circle. So I blend it out with my finger, and what I did was I went back in with the shade Blue Moon because I felt like Blue Ice was a little bit too much of the blue, and I wanted the blue and the silver to really like mesh together really well. So I went back in and applied that on top. Next, I'm going in with my NYX Suede Lip Pencil in the shade Club Hopper and applying it to my lips. And next, I'm taking my ABH lipstick in the shade Cool Brown and just applying it to my lips. And what I'll do is I'll rub my lips together to get a better blend between the lip liner and the lipstick. Then to finish off my look, I just set my face with my Urban Decay All-Nighter Setting Spray. And here is my final look. Alright, so that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this makeup tutorial. Also, just briefly to go over where or how I got this cosplay. So the bandana, I believe I bought from Amazon.
the gloves I actually made, I hand sewed these. I got fabric, like the turquoise color fabric, and then the gray fabric. I made a stencil in my hand on paper, and then I traced that stencil onto fabric, and then I cut it out and I hand sewed it together. These are gems that I got from Michael's, I believe. For the armbands or the wristbands, I bought gold fabric and I sewed it, and then I attached some Velcro inside. So for the vest, this is what it looks like. I never really got a chance to finish making the vest because I have a habit of waiting till the last minute every time a convention comes up, and after that I get super tired and then I never really do it. But that's how I got this. And then for the red ribbon, I literally just got black foam core. I beveled the edges on the inside so that it would actually bend like this, and then I attached Velcro inside and I can just stick it on my pants and it's all good. Oh, and then the jeans that I'm wearing, my jeans are from Fashion Nova. And then also, if you guys see me like every now and then looking up, it's because now I have an HDMI cable hooked up to my TV. So my TV is above where the camera is, so if you see me randomly looking up, that's why. So yeah, I'm just testing out this format for makeup tutorials. Not all my makeup tutorials are going to be voiceovers. For this one I'm testing out, and then also I'm testing the lighting because I know my lighting is usually warmer, so I try to do cooler, but at the same time it's nighttime. It's actually 2 in the morning right now, and I'm really tired. I'm gonna just wipe off this beat and just knock out. But yeah, I'm experimenting. So not all my makeup tutorials are gonna be with this lighting or voiceovers. So yeah, in the future I'm gonna experiment. I'm just trying to see kind of what flows more naturally for me when it comes to doing makeup tutorials and how I can present the tutorial to you guys. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Bless up, and until next time, sending out much peace, love, and enlightenment. Bye, guys.